Oh,
You see all those people in there?
quite a few people on tonight.
Yeah. Even Stealth Outdoors is on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's on tonight.
cool.
Zeke's dad's wife is on. Zeke's
Nice.
dad's wife.
Zeke's
Got it.
dad's wife.
I
Cool.
think I know who that is. That's funny. Um, hope everybody's doing good tonight. Thanks for getting on tonight. We are giving away the Osseo gear. I've attempted 3 times to give this stuff away, and nobody wants this stuff apparently.
Maybe I'll
Because
win this time.
yeah,
I keep trying.
just so everybody knows, like all you have to do tonight is put a comment in the chat, and that qualifies you to win. So it just
So
picks.
what's the deal? This guy didn't. Again, you got a guy that didn't contact back.
Yep, they're officially disqualified. I reached out to him twice and never got back with me. So
So you're gonna give it away today now with somebody online.
That's right. Somebody that's actually here in the chat, and at the somewhere near the end of the show when we have everybody, make sure everybody's on. We'll do the drawing. I got a comment or a chat picker up here. We'll share that, and then it'll just be whoever randomly gets chosen. So if you're on, just leave a comment, and you'll be entered to win.
Nice.
There you go. So it's a early season setup for Osseo gear. You'll get like a hoodie and a long sleeve shirt and pair of pants, a couple other things. So
I could use some pants. I'm not wearing any right now.
You better comment.
Don't make me stand up.
Yeah. Well, before the show started, all I hear in Dan's background was this big giant fart, and I'm like, "What was that?"
I didn't know you were on. I just had it sitting in limbo.
And then, like a minute later, here his face shows up. I'm like, "Did you just fart?" He's like, "Yeah." Oh, good thing I can only see you, not smell you.
Yeah, I'm an attractive kind of guy. I'm feeling hot today. I went to the grocery store on my way home from work, and the woman behind the teller asked me if I was single.
What was her intentions?
I don't know. I told her, "No, I'm not single," and she was like, "Oh, I didn't mean it that way."
Oh.
But I think she did. She was like flirting with me about the stuff I bought.
Oh, that's funny. There you go, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, at least
I told Carol she's got some competition.
Yeah.
She said that's something you don't tell your wife.
Oh, yeah. What you been up to? Anything new?
I got those 2 food plots seeded. That was kind of interesting. I went back out there to seed them, and it's only been 5 days or something.
Yeah.
And there's deer all over them. The first one, the scrapes got opened back up, and there was 3 scrapes in the food plot that were, beat down into the earth. It was crazy. I don't know what's going on back there, but we had 3 bucks bedded by the scrapes. I didn't get a good look at them, and I'm not positive they're all bucks, because they jump up and they just tear out of there. But no fawns, Yeah. So I'm assuming they're bucks.
Yeah, probably so.
They like that bare dirt when you bare that earth,
Yeah, I think I think it attracts them almost, like they can smell it or something. They like that.
I've noticed that like a lot of these, wannabe land managers will create bedding, and they'll rip up the earth where they create these beds, and deer will come right in and bed on them, and they think they're doing something. And I think it's because they create that earth, but they don't keep bedding there. Because a deer beds in a spot because of the wind, because of the thermals and stuff. It's really, really hard to create the exact spot they'd want to lay in.
Yeah,
because you don't smell like a deer. But they'll lay there because they bear the earth. There's something with that when you break ground, deer just love that for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
It's kind of like minerals. If you just pour it on the dirt, it doesn't do much. But if you dig the dirt and move it into it,
they seem to. It's like almost they like to dig for it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I don't really put out minerals or anything like that anymore. I used to when I
I
was
don't
younger a little bit, but it's
It's
still
not
legal.
legal here. It's
Yeah,
not legal.
it's still legal here. I don't know. It seemed like I can do something better with my time.
Right. Exactly.
I I went scouting today for a little bit. It's one of those spots where I got real excited about it on the map there, and there was a couple like pretty large creeks I had to cross, and I got back there, and there was like 4 ladder stands back in there, which is kind of shocking to me.
Hmm.
But they were in your typical spots where it's like they just picked the 4 best spots where you could see the farthest,
Hmm.
and put them up. So it's probably just like gun hunters or something. Um, but looked really good. I didn't see a lot of big buck sign. I saw a couple of nice tracks though, which um, gave me some hope. I didn't really push into the bedding area, like into the swamp. I just kind of stayed on the outskirts and looked for tracks and stuff coming out. And I threw one trail camera up uh, over a area that was like between the swamp and a private crop field. And um, I may go, if I'll probably just leave it and not hunt that spot this year, but um, see what's on that trail camera come winter time. But
Hmm.
it was a little bit disappointing. It was like one of those deals where it took me like an hour to get back there, especially right now when it's like, there's real tall vegetation everywhere and it's hot. It was hot and kind of wading through swamp and then get back there. It's like, gosh dang it. How do you get 4 ladder stands back here?
I
But there,
last couple of real nice bucks.
did you?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to tell how big they're going to be right now, but I mean, when they got big brow tines right now, and it's not even July, and they're wider
Yeah.
than the ears, they're going to be good deer.
Yeah.
I'll just have to keep an eye on them.
It's almost July. It'll be July before we know it.
Yeah, by the end of July, they'll have
Yeah.
almost full racks. Right now, they're got to be putting over an inch a day on.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking
So
forward to
when
it.
deer grow, one thing people might not realize is that they start from the bottom up. So they grow the brow tines first, and then they grow the beams. Well, the brow tines grow as the beams are growing out, but the tine lengths won't be there. The tines grow last, like after the beams get wide, So right now you're looking at brows and width, to determine if it's a shooter buck.
Yep. Yep. I've been seeing a lot of deer out and about. I haven't.
It's crazy
honestly,
how many I've been seeing. It's been nuts.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of worried about EHD around here with it being hot and dry, but we'll see. We haven't gotten a lot of rain. I think I looked up. We've gotten about 8 inches since March, which is better than what you guys have gotten. Actually,
Yeah, we ain't got much rain at all.
Yeah,
I actually seeded those plots. We haven't had rain since I seeded them.
Dang.
I was a little worried. I mean, I don't know a lot about plotting. I just know what's good and where to put it. But I killed the weeds, and then I cut them, and then I killed them again because the weeds were over my head. So you worry about the undergrowth weeds. So I sprayed it twice, and the second time I sprayed it, then I kind of tilled it up a little.
Mm-hmm.
But I was worried about. I mean, can you seed it too fast, and then the rain gets the poison onto your seed?
Were you just spraying Roundup, or what were you spraying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like glyphosate? I don't think glyphosate is as bad as like something like 2,4-D. I think
Mm-hmm.
I don't think glyphosate isn't a post-emergent, so I think you're all right.
What a lot of people might not know is you got a lot of experience with stuff like that because you work in the farm industry a little bit.
Yeah. The only thing I would have done if I were you, Dan, probably is waited a little bit to plant it, waited closer to fall. But if you get rain,
over clover.
Oh, okay.
So clover, I like to get it started.
Yeah. Yep. But no, I mean, a lot of farmers and stuff around here, you'll see them. I mean, essentially, that's what they're doing. The same thing as you did. Is it's not always weeds, but some type of cover crop that kind of lays over once you drill in the seed and they spray it with glyphosate, and that kills all the cover crop and lays over like kind of like mulch for the seed. But anyway, yep, that's cool. I don't know. That spot I wish I would have probably spent a little more time in there, but I had to get back home and I was drenched with sweat and everything else, and it's not too far from an area I know where there's a really big buck, so we'll see what happens. You can get in there with a boat too, or a kayak, which might be the better option. You get in there if we had some rain. Right now the creeks were pretty dry, so you'd been dragging your kayak through a bunch of muck and layovers and everything else. So it wouldn't be in the most ideal situation, but that may be an option if we get more rain. Yep. We got a lot of people on now, so all you guys have to do to enter into the Osseo giveaway is to post a comment in the chat tonight. I'll try to remind people as we go.
That bear eating that dude in Arizona.
Yes. Yeah, let's do that. I got it up here. Dan, I don't know much about this. Dan just sent it to me before we got on.
Popping up all over the place. I've been hearing it on the radio and all kinds of stuff.
Let's see if I can share my screen. There it is. Crap. They're asking me to buy it now for $1 a week. Anyway, this is the article. Black bear kills Arizona man.
You can find that article all over the place. You don't have to get it
this
from
is
the New York Times. Matter of fact, I don't like the New York Times.
What happened there?
So the guy was by his cabin, and they said he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't have no food out. There's no water there. There's no reason for this. So they thought it was a predatory attack. Purely predatory. He was sitting having a cup of coffee outside, and the bear snuck up on him and attacked him and dragged him 75 feet while he was screaming to eat him. And neighbors heard the screaming and ran over, saw what was going on. They were beeping horns and they were banging pots and pans and yelling at the bear, and the bear just kept at him and wanted to eat him and drag him off away from the people screaming. So one of the dudes ran home, or ran to his cabin, got a gun, came back and shot the bear. Well, by that time it was too late, and the guy died. Arizona says that they've only had 2 bear attacks that were fatal. I think they've had about 11 bear attacks that are, I might be misquoting that, but I think that's what it was. Like 11 bear attacks or 12 in the last 10 years, and 2 fatal, including this one. But I've noticed that most of the time, and I pay attention to bear attacks because I bear hunt a lot and stuff, and I always find it interesting in a morbid kind of way. But you notice that most of the time it's not those huge boars that do it. Yeah, the huge boars seem really timid, like they hide from people. It seems like it's the younger bears that are like got kicked away from mama and they're 2 or 3 years old and they're real skinny and starving. Usually they have worms where they're not getting enough nutrition, where they just like risk it all, to get a big prize. Big stupid humans are easy to catch, Yeah. I'm not saying this guy was big and stupid. I'm just saying people in general are easy to catch.
Sure.
So I think this was a predatory attack. I am very interested to hear the size of the bear. I have not seen anything on that yet, but I want to see if it fits that narrative.
Yeah, it's a good thing bears are afraid of humans for the most part. It's like them things. If they knew what they could do to us, it's like we wouldn't be able to do anything.
Bear attacks on hunters is usually, I believe, mistaken identity, where they think the human is a bear, like in a tree or something. A lot of guys get bit in the foot, like they'll kick at the bear when the bear climbs a tree. When a bear comes into a bait pile, just think about how they do it in nature. When they come into food, like they find a winter kill or something, which is usually what they do. They find some dead animal, right? And they feed on it. And when they do that, bears will come from a long ways. They can smell a carcass from like 10 miles. So you might have a sow and cubs there, right? The boar comes in, And what'll happen is the cubs the mom will make a little bark, and the cubs will go up a tree, and they're used to looking in the trees for these cubs. And if boars always kill the cubs whenever they can, they'll kill them and eat them. And they look up in a tree and they see movement. They think it's a cub at a food source, so they come up to investigate that. And then usually the people that get bit in a tree, they get bit once, and then the bear runs off. And that's what it does. As soon as it bites you, it realizes you're a human. But in this case, with this guy in the news article, it was a predatory attack, and he knew it was a human, went after him. And that's a bear. If it did survive, it didn't say. It said the guy shot it. It didn't say if he killed it or not. Maybe there's an article out there that does say that, but I haven't seen it yet. But it didn't say he killed it. But I don't think he did, because it didn't say the DNR killed it either. But whenever you have a bear that attacks a human in a predatory way, you have to hunt that bear down and kill it. It won't stop.
Yeah.
Once it's done that once it loses its fear of humans, you have to kill that bear.
Once it figures is out we're easy targets, it's over for them.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. That's man, you just never know when it's your time. Some bear may walk out of the woods and just eat you.
Too. I mean, the person should be prepared for stuff. I mean, especially in today's world, not necessarily that a bear is going to run out of the bushes and attack you, but something could happen. Somebody could try and rob you. You're more likely to have problems with humans. But I'm telling you, if you're not afraid of guns and you're not you're a good moral human, you should probably have a permit and carry a gun.
Yeah,
because crap happens everywhere. And the worst thing is if you're someplace and something happens and you're unarmed and you can't do anything about it, that's the worst thing. I mean, if something happens to me, I'm kind of okay with that. Like, that's a life decision or whatever. But I would hate to be present when somebody I love or somebody I care about is being hurt in some way where I can't do something. And I'm going to try anyways. And it's probably going to cost me my life too, in certain situations. But because of that reason, I carry pepper spray and a gun. And the reason I carry both is because I don't want to have to shoot somebody.
Right.
The gun's the last resort. And I've got friends that have had to use their guns. I mean, usually like it's a dog or something though. Dog attacks are pretty common.
Well, there's more dogs around,
Yeah, my brother-in-law had a pit bull jump his fence and attack his German Shepherd and him at the same time. And he had to shoot it in self-defense. And that was in the inner city. And that was found totally justified.
Yeah.
He killed it.
Yeah.
But if he didn't have a gun, I mean, then what? And he went into a seizure. He has a problem with seizures. He has something wrong where he has seizures a lot. He went into a seizure right when he shot it. And I mean, if he went into a seizure when this dog attacked him, he'd have been dead.
Yeah. It is weird. Like, you bring up a good point. Now I'm like sitting here thinking about that. Like, it's weird to get attacked by a bear on your back porch or whatever. Like,
right. But stuff happens. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be.
I know, but like, I feel like, well, I mean, maybe he doesn't understand bear behavior or something, but like, I don't know, like go in your house before he gets to you. It's just kind of weird that.
Well, I think it snuck up on him from behind or something.
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, literally, I mean, I'm a paranoid person. I watch too much news, and I'm always watching what's going on around me. If I hear something behind me, I'm always looking around. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's almost a curse sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't sit in a restaurant. I mean, I wonder how many people are on right now that are going to say the same thing. When I go in a restaurant, first thing I do is look for a door or a seat that's facing the door where I can watch who's coming in.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, same way. I'm the same way. I think a lot of that's just like being a male too, like a man. Sometimes I think that's innate in us, or a lot of us. It still is,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I am a little feral, so.
Yep. You want to talk about the your bow giveaway to the show?
Sure.
So after we get this Osseo gear out of my hands, we're going to give away a bow.
My bow.
It has a lot of good shots left in it.
Sure does. Yep.
No. Dan's bow from last year. I think Dan wants to give that one away.
Yeah, I used it for one season.
Yep.
I got 2 new bows that match, and as a matter of fact, they're the same model as the one I'm giving away. And I'm going to give it away. And how are we going to do this? I'm going to pick like 10 people on the show.
Yeah, I think I guess we'll have some requirements, right? Like you got to be subscribed to our channels. You got to be just subscribed to the Hunt and Beast and this channel before the Echo. And then when you want to give it away? You want to give it away next week on the show, or you want to go?
Why don't we do 1 week where we pick the people, and the next week the people have to be on.
Okay.
Because I hate this. You're not on. You can't get a hold of these people or whatever.
Yeah,
you have to be on 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Like it or not, that's the rule, right?
Yeah.
So we or at least have somebody watching that's on. You can get on quick.
Yeah.
So anywho, or have it running in the background if you got something going on. But be there to check it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the first week you give me like 10 names. I'll do a printout, and I'll shoot the printout, and the name I hit gets the bow.
Yep. This was Zeke.
I'll put it at like 90 yards, so I'm.
We just watched Dan shoot like a dozen arrows at it. No,
actually, I don't like my neighbor's dog. I'll tape it to the neighbor's dog.
Oh no! Don't say that.
No, I won't do that.
This was Zeke's dad's idea. The other day, the other show, he was like, "You ought to put everybody's name on a piece of paper and have Dan shoot it," and that's what we're going to do.
I think we should do that every time we do a giveaway from now on.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Let's
fun.
see how it works first, though.
All right, to summarize for everybody, I'm going to put this. I'll put this clip of this on this channel and on the Hunt and Beast, so people can get around and see it. But this clip will go up, and then you have to be subscribed to both our channels, the Hunt and Beast and Before the Echo. Next week on Thursday, we're going to pick 10 of those people that had left a comment. I guess they got to leave a comment for us to pick them. But leave a comment on this video, on the clip of this video, and then we'll pick 10 comments on the 29th, which is next Thursday. And then on the 6th, which is the Thursday after that, we'll have Dan shoot them live here on the show, the 10 people, and whoever's arrow or whoever's square Dan hits will be the winner.
So we can put them like in a circle, but there's going to be a bull. Should we have a bullseye, or should we just all have them come to a point?
I think it should be like a pie, and then you try to hit the middle. Yeah, you try to hit the middle.
Yeah.
And of course, you won't hit the middle.
An equal chance.
I'm kidding. Yeah. And then whoever has the most arrow in their pie wins. I think that's the best way to do it. I can send you the printout for it.
All right.
And then we'll and you have to try to do your best to be on the next. If you're the 10 people, we'll let you know. And then Dan will sling an arrow at the pie plate with your name on it, and we'll try to win. That sounds like it'd be a good time. So tonight, the rest of the night, we'll just take Q&A. So we'll leave a question in the chat, and we'll get around to some of them tonight, and then we'll answer them. Just put a question mark before the question, so I know it's a question.
Pie like this, right?
Yep, and you try to hit the.
That's other people.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it said Dan, Josh, and Dan's wife or something like that. No.
I was going to leave a little tiny sliver for other people. But...
Oh, that's hilarious. Before we start the questions, everybody leave your questions in the comments. Let's do this Osseo Gear giveaway. We have about 268 people on, according to my screen. Yeah.
Is that less than usual?
That's enough. No, not right now. It's about normal. Okay. Let's do the giveaway for the Osseo Gear.
Okay, how are you going to pick a name?
I'll show you. It's real cool looking. Let me.
Do you want me to maybe shoot him?
Let me.
I see people in there. It's right there. There's Hunter 615.
Let me get it pulled up here. All right, let's see how many comments we have. Screen number 2. We'll let it load up here. I think it's there's 60 comments. It feels like there's more than that. Maybe that's how many there are. Yeah, hurry up, guys! If you want to win the giveaway, make a comment. That way we can
comment so you can win.
We can pick some. Let's try to get up to 100 comments. There's 275 people on now, so
give them a minute to comment now that we said that.
Yeah. Anyway, Dan, here's what we can do. How's that building coming along while people are commenting?
Oh, you just poked a sore spot right in my ribs. Yeah, so the guy came over, set up the pedestal in the box, and got it ready for We Energies. And then the inspector came out, and the inspector called me. I was out in the woods, and that's kind of abnormal because usually they just deal with the contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I just want to talk to you personally because this is all wrong. He said the electrical wires are way too low ampage, or the grounding ain't right, the box isn't putting right, the pedestal ain't right, and it's used. And I was looking at your building, and it's crooked, and there's the window's on wrong, and the grade's wrong, and I was just like, yeah. So I'm making the guy get an electrician over here.
Yeah.
The inspector said, I'll come back one more time, and if it's like that again, I ain't coming back. So
that's
but he didn't say that to me. He said that to the contractor. He said, I told him I was getting an electrician out there, but the contractor guy is doing that on the side, and his boss apparently didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And the inspector called his boss. So then his boss said, you sent a certified electrician out there. This is bull.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my brother's been working hand in hand with that guy for years, so I think my brother would have some say there. I'm getting really annoyed by the whole thing, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, for sure.
Yeah.
Everything about it's annoying.
Right.
That
guy does not like coming over here when I'm not around, because my wife just lets him have it.
Oh, man.
I'm more patient. I'm nice. I bite my lip, and I just tell him how it is. I mean, I'm not real nice, but I don't. She'll go off. She goes off.
No sympathy at all for him.
Right. Not at all.
Let's see here. We got 146 comments now, so that's better.
All right.
All right, here we go. We're going to hit the draw. I'm going to count down to 10. You better leave your comment. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I didn't get a comment in.
Here we go. Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
Can it still pick me if I didn't put a comment in?
Nope.
Dang.
Riley
Schreiner? Who's that guy? I didn't even see him when I was looking in the hole.
Oh, he must have commented, man. We have a bunch of new commenters.
Probably got one in right at the end here.
Yeah. Riley. Awesome, man. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Send me an email, and we'll get your sizing and stuff.
Well, congratulations.
Yep.
Hopefully you can get a picture of him wearing the stuff that we can show.
Yep. Hopefully
he's nice enough to do that.
There you go, Riley. My email is in the chat. I'll look you up too later if you don't email me tonight or anything. But congrats, man. You'll love the stuff. It's good stuff. Glad you won. Hopefully you're still on. He said thank you.
There we go.
He is on. Awesome.
You got somebody who actually claimed their prize. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I had those problems on the bees too. I mean, every time I gave away something, I mean, besides all those scammers ripping everybody off,
Yeah.
I could never get the guy who would win to respond. That's why I didn't like doing it. I like doing it this way a lot better.
Yeah. I even told on the video I put up last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, I was like, check this tomorrow because we're going to draw someone tomorrow. And I tried to reach out to them twice and they never got back with me. So, yeah, it is what it is. All right. Everybody leave your questions in the comments here. We'll do a few. Tonight may be a little bit of a shorter episode. Me and Dan just wanted to get on here and get the giveaway done and announce the next one and get to some questions.
I'm pretty pumped up for hunting.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm feeling good this year. I'm feeling confident.
Yeah. I am too. I haven't last few weeks I haven't been doing a whole lot, but this weekend me and Dad are going to shoot bows and stuff and get all that ready. I've been shooting my longbow a decent amount, and I got my compound set up the other day. But it seems like every time I want to go and like finish setting the compound up, it's real windy.
Carol wants me to go on Kill Fest tonight. One of her stray cats she's been taking care of died. She had me bury it in the yard.
Yeah.
2 nights in a row now. I put bricks on it and everything. The coyotes dug it up. Bury it again. It digs it up. She's like, it's time to kill those coyotes.
Yeah. Call Wyatt.
Pups. She's like, screw the pups.
Yeah.
She loves animals.
Yeah. Yeah. When we buried Penny back here the first night, something tried to get to her. They didn't do a very good job, but I put a bunch of pallets and stuff on top of her until they
left it alone.
Yeah. Now it's, it was fine. But Tim, thanks for joining the membership, man. Thanks, 98. It's not too early to ask questions. Ask away, man. Let's see here. Here we go. Question for Dan. I'm thinking of getting into doing my first bear bait in northern Maine this season. Any tips on getting the bait in bulk for a reasonable price? Thanks, Josh and Dan.
I don't know what you got going on in Maine, but in Wisconsin, you can just go to like these bait stores. I Google bear bait, and they're all over the place. I'm trying to think of Eric Hoosman's. Is it Trophy Adventure Bait or Google it once? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's here.
Because he'll ship it. He'll ship it right to you in bulk, and he's the bulk dealer for Wisconsin. He's a friend of mine. I was just at his place not too long ago. I bought cookies from him for the raccoons.
Yeah.
So I bought a tote of cookies, which is about 5.5 barrels or 6 barrels. And that cost me $300. And I bought a barrel of mixed nuts. That was like 125, 130. But I think you might even get better deals if you bought it in bulk, if that's not bulk for you.
Yeah.
But he'll ship it right to your house, which is huge.
Yep. Trophy Adventure Bear Baits.
Yeah.
Trophy.
So
Adventure.
I would contact him. Tell him you heard about him from the Hunting Beast, and ask him if he can ship to you bulk and what he has. And the cookies work really well. The nuts are pretty good too. Nuts are really expensive, but if you mix them in, they're pretty good. But he has a bunch of other stuff too. You could get like a mix of things, which is what I like to do for bears because they have different tastes. Even like the raccoons. Raccoons are like little bears, and I play with them. Like I go out and sit with them every evening. Like I was on there earlier today, and I had them all eating out of my hands and stuff. And I watch them and I watch what they eat, and a whole bunch of them want the cookies, which is why I got cookies.
Right.
And I'll give them the cookies, and there'll be some of them that just sit there, smell the cookie, and look at you until they get some dog food. You know, it's not like in here in Wisconsin we can't use dog food. for bears, but
Right.
it's funny how they each got their own little taste, and I've noticed that with the bears too. Is that when you use a certain bait, if you just use one bait, it might work real well for certain bears. Other bears, they might not even like that. And some bears will get sick of it after a while and want something else. They're like people. I mean, you wouldn't go to the same place if all they served was the same, you know, one thing on their menu and that's all they ever served. You'd get sick of it after a while, right? How
Right.
often would you go there? So bears are kind of the same. So I like to get a variety of stuff, but you can get a variety in bulk from Eric.
You could probably reach out to him too, and if you're going to buy it from him, and he'll probably give you some recommendations.
Yeah, Eric is really good at that. He understands the proteins and stuff that bears need and stuff at what times of the year they need certain things, and more so than other people. Some people want to sell you fluff. A lot of the bear bait companies will sell you things that attract bear hunters, like bulk peanut butter or something like that. You know, some of that stuff works, but it's more like what a person would think the bear wants, where he has a really good idea of what kind of proteins they're looking for, or what they're going to be feeding on at that time of the year, or that kind of thing.
Yeah. He probably has clients that from Maine that he knows what.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
He deals with the stuff in semi loads.
Yeah. John Becker asked, have you ever noticed milkweed growing around your go-to stands from using it all the time?
Yeah, always downwind of my stands, there's milkweed.
We're saving the butterflies.
Yeah.
We're saving the
A lot
butterflies.
of monarch butterflies where we're at, too.
That's a big thing, apparently. That there's not very many butterflies around anymore.
I've had people send me messages like thanking me for spreading the seeds for milkweed and spreading the idea of it, because it's planting all over the place because of me, and creating this environment for butterflies, which is not what I'm trying to do. But I have other people get a hold of me like, you're taking the seeds from the and killing them, and the butterflies can't use them. You got some people think you're ruining it, some people think you're helping them. But I hear a lot of the butterfly comments.
Yeah. Tony asks, how's the drought going to affect antler growth?
I don't know.
It probably doesn't help it.
I don't think the drought has a huge difference on antler growth. I think what's more important is the winter, the length of the winter, the harshness of the winter. Mild winters, you have like a better growth of antler. Now, that might not matter in some of the states. Like, it probably doesn't matter at all down by Josh. But you start getting in northern Wisconsin, it starts making a difference. Maybe in Maine, where the guy was just talking about, makes a difference. I know some of the outfitters in Canada were keeping track of that. I used to know an outfitter that was really into antler size, and he had it charted every year what people would shoot. And his antler size average would go down 10% on a bad winter year and up 10% on a good year.
Yep. I could see that for sure. And you're right, we don't have bad winters for deer here, really. I mean, it can be cold, but not cold for deer.
I think it's mainly the starvation thing. I mean, if you're in deep snow and there's no food source and stuff for a long winter, it's hard for them.
Yeah. I'm sure the drought doesn't help it, though. You know, I'm sure it
doesn't help, but I don't think it makes a huge difference.
Right.
I think they get a lot of it out of the grasses and stuff. But if everything's dried up and brown, it's hard for them.
I guess the biggest thing is they just got to survive all the diseases and stuff that come around with droughts. Let's see here. Nolan, thanks for joining the membership, man.
Droughts usually bring that EHD pretty bad.
Yeah. Slugworth, thanks for the donation. He says, how does one become a member of the Hunting Beast Forum? I've tried to create an account, but I can't log in.
So, are you using a good email? Make sure the email is correct so that you can get messages when you try making a password. Because if there's a problem, Carol will email you. If you have a name that looks like a spam, or it looks like, or if it has something implying something dirty in it or something, it might get rejected. So if you've tried to apply and it's taken more than 10 days and you're not getting a response, send me a private message and I'll have Carol okay it or something going on there. But it does take her up to about 10 days to okay them. And you should be getting an email. And if you're not getting the email, it could be going to your spam filter too. So check that.
Yeah.
Because it comes from thehuntingbeast.com, which might go to your spam filter.
Right. It's not anything normal. Do you already have a target buck you're going after or going in clean slate?
How about you?
Yeah, I do. At least here in Indiana, I have a couple that I'm kind of going after this year, but you never know. There's all kinds of things that could pop up between now and deer season.
Correct.
Some of those target bucks, I may figure out that they're dead or something, and something else may pop up on my radar. But I definitely have a couple that I'd like to, if they're around, like to get an arrow in.
It's always like, it's the same for me every year. I have a bunch of target bucks that some of them I've been hunting for a couple of years. Some of them I started hunting last year. And I also will be watching for newcomers and hunting new areas. So I float around a little bit, and I don't lock myself into one buck usually. It would have to be a pretty big buck for me to lock into one. But I have target bucks, and I have just new areas and stuff. And I'm also constantly seeking new target bucks. So like I seen those two the other day that together, and they were both big bucks. I'm going to be keeping an eye and see how big they get.
Rich asked, what do you think about mineral sites, a invite for CWD or feeding deer with a pile of apples?
I think minerals can cause disease because the deer eat from the same spot, the saliva, and piles of food can do the same. If you're going to bait or you're going to feed, I think a better way of doing it, not just for disease, but it'll help a lot with disease, but just in general, what makes deer feel safer is to spread it out. For whatever reason, everybody puts it in a pile. If you take corn or apples and you throw them around like it fell off an apple tree or out of a corn tree, which might sound weird, but that's the way deer look at things. If it's in a pile, it's not safe. If it's spread out and they're working for it, then they're not going to get disease because they're not all licking the same pile, right? And the deer feel safer around that.
There you go. Jim asked a good question. He says, I've also noticed this year. I've been seeing lots of deer out between 11 a.m. and 12, feeding in very hot days. Any clues why that would be?
Probably because we're at the longest days of the year right now, and they have to feed every 6 hours.
Yeah.
I think yesterday was the longest day of the year, wasn't it?
Yes, the solstice was yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. I guess it's just there's longer days, so they're you're seeing more.
I mean, during the summer you see them a lot more in daylight too. Summer patterns are a lot different than fall patterns.
Yeah, they're just more comfortable right now too, so they're just out and about.
I mean, that's one of the huge advantages of states that open in September, like early September, is those deer are still somewhat on summer patterns and are a lot easier to kill. They still move real well in daylight. I mean, you look at my very biggest bucks. The very biggest ones mostly came from opening weekend or opening week.
Yeah.
In September, not rut. Not later in the year.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question. I'm not sure what your username is there, man, but I'm not going to butcher it. He says, are you guys scouting the same places year after year looking for sign, or do you have different places that are public to hunt?
I'm looking all over the place. So I'm constantly looking for new territory, and for a couple of reasons. For number one, lots of people seeking out the areas I hunt. Number two, I like the adventure of hunting new spots. I like figuring out new deer. It's kind of the game for me. And number three, there isn't always bucks in the spots that I hunt. It's public land. So there might be bucks there, but not what I want to shoot. So I'm constantly floating around, and I might go back to an area every couple of years when a buck shows up. I might go through and look for a buck, hunt it a couple of times, see if there's sign. But for the most part, I'm floating around or I'm hunting a target buck. I might stay in an area for a target buck. But
thanks for the donation, Michael Witt. You related to Tyler Witt?
How about you, Josh? Are you floating around?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
I know when I hunted down by you, you constantly knew of areas all over the place that were public. It was crazy. You have to be on top of that, just kind of like I am around here.
Yeah, we have so much public around here that it's. I mean, I can't hardly get to it all. Probably in a lifetime, as far as covering all of it. I'm constantly going into new areas, and it seems like every year I find a new couple areas that look really good that I've overlooked over the years or something, and I go in. Like, what I did today. I went to a spot that's not that far from my house that I've never been into. Um, I would, if I had to tell you, I'd probably say 60% is me like in the springtime going and to spots I've already been in, just trying to fine tune them or look for a particular deer I'm after, and then the other 40% is probably bopping around in new areas.
How far would you drive for a 1 day hunt?
Oh, I would drive it probably. I mean, I'd drive an hour if I felt confident in the spot. You got to realize how much public land is around me, an hour around me. I mean, that's a lot of land.
I've driven as far as like a little over 2 hours for one way hunt. I used to hunt that bear bait buck. I mean, I'd go off after work, and was 3 hours away. I just I'd get off at like 2 in the afternoon, so I'd leave at like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And then before I'm even punched out of work, I'm already in the stand.
That is a long way, though. Giant deer, though.
Yeah. But I would do that. I mean,
okay.
You don't kill them if you're not hunting them.
Right, for sure. Rich asks, so I lied to you. I used to go to Kentucky, and that's a 2-hour drive on just an evening hunt.
It's not like I do it on a regular basis, but I mean,
right. Yeah.
On a regular basis, I travel within about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Rich asks, what do you think about a doe when giving birth? How smart is she from any coyotes getting wind of that? Will they pick a place for better survival? We actually talked about
it, but I do think that they do go to the same birthing areas year after year. So I think they.
Well, we talked about this last week on that study showed that does like to drop their fawns near human structures because there's less predators around them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think they're probably pretty aware of, what's going on around them. I'd imagine, but that was shown in that
smart critter.
Yeah, that was shown in that Pennsylvania study we talked about last week, where there was, all those over 1,000 deer tagged over 10 years with a GPS collar, and the does like to drop their fawns near roads or human structures. So it is crazy how, I mean, we probably give them too much credit sometimes, but at the same time, they do stuff like that. And you're like, wow. Of course, we don't, or at least I don't think about does a whole lot, to be honest with you, even though in that scenario, what you're talking about there, a fawn, that's where those big bucks start as. So the does are a pretty important part of keeping them things alive. Because they're very, very vulnerable at that particular stage in life. Oh man, my comments keep on driving up to the top for some reason here. Let's go to the bottom and answer some more here. If I don't get to your comment or your question, I apologize. I think y'all commenting like 100 comments in a row there is throwing my thing off, so it keeps going back to the top of the comment section. Let's see here. What's your favorite venison recipe?
Mine I have posted on my YouTube page. So that is I cube it. I cube some tenderloin or backstrap, and I cut up a bunch of vegetables like zucchini and maybe some asparagus if I have it, some green tomatoes, and whatever I got, and I'll cube that up and get it cooking. I'll put a bunch of hot peppers in there, and green peppers and cucumbers and stuff, and I'll cook all those vegetables so they're a little bit soft, and then I'll add the meat last, and I'll cook the cube meat in there, and I'll cook it all in butter, like a couple sticks of butter, and I love that. That's my best way to cook it.
Yep.
That recipe is on my YouTube page. I don't know what the video is called, but
yeah, it's an older one, but it's on there. I don't know what my favorite one is. Yeah. I mean, if I like, go ahead.
When I ate at your house, man, you know how to cook venison. Holy crap!
Yeah.
You had them back straps you made. Oh,
yeah. If you can my favorite meal I've ever made personally was like I smoked a ham, and I had marinated it for like over a week in a brine, and man, it was freaking good. But like if I had to like pick one meal to eat, my grandma used to make. She would take back straps and tenderize them, and then flour them, and then fry them, and then make gravy out of it. Man, that was good. I feel like if someone is like on the fence about eating venison, some people don't want to eat it because of the thought of it being a deer. Like if you would serve them that, they'd change their mind, because like there's no way anybody wouldn't like that stuff. But anyway, Anthony, thanks for
kitten is pretty good if you cook it right. The fluffy white one tastes the best.
Yeah, maybe so. Thanks for joining the membership, Kevin. All right, let me get back to the comments here. He says, Willie Miller, he says, scouting a new public property, I found the skeleton of a deer with the antlers cut off. It was in a willow patch that was next to a walking trail. All the willows were rubbed, ? So I think he's like asking, would you pay attention to that area? Or it's kind of weird that the antlers were cut off. I mean, someone found him there.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a question. It sounds like a statement. Could have been poached. Could have been just died there. Probably just died there. I think a poacher would usually take the whole deer, or the whole head.
Yeah.
Probably one somebody didn't find, and somebody else found it, smelled it, or something.
Oh, here we go. Sorry. He finished his question a couple comments later. What are the odds of another deer taking over that spot?
Really good.
We weren't anywhere close to what he was wanting to ask.
Yeah, if it's a bedding area, fairly good. And I'll add that some of the very best bedding areas I've found a lot of skeletons and a lot of deadheads right in those areas. I remember one area that I really had a lot of luck in, with some giant bucks. When I found it, it was an overlooked corner of a property, and nobody was looking at it. It was just kind of like way off to the side, way across these fields, and it was like a corner. And I noticed deer were coming from that way, so I went over to check it out. And it was like this undergrowth brush, and you couldn't get through the brush wall. And I had to push my way through. And when I got through, you had to bend over and crawl, and it was like buckthorn.
Mm-hmm.
You had to crawl to move through this stuff. And I looked around, and there were shed antlers from different years laying all over the place. Telling me nobody had ever even been in there, and there's beds all over the place. And I was like, holy cow. And then when I ended up hunting, and man, did some bucks come out of there.
I've run into a couple spots like that too. I think I had one spot where I picked up 8 shed antlers in one little like decent, just kind of a circle.
Before I went on a tangent, that my point of that was that when you kill a deer, if you don't kill it really well, like say you it bleeds out and dies slow, and you don't find it. When they die slow, they often go back to their bedding areas.
Mm-hmm.
There's secure bedding areas where they feel the safest, because they're wounded, injured, and feeling vulnerable. They go back to their safe area where they feel safe, and that's where they end up dying. So a lot of times you find your biggest deadheads in great bedding areas. So that was my point to that.
Yeah.
It wasn't about shed antlers, but it just reminded me of that spot because there's deadheads and sheds in there. But
yeah.
But think about that. I mean, a lot of times my best areas I find skeletons in there.
Yeah. You think it bothers a buck that there's a dead one laying in there at all?
It's laying right in his bed, yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll just go to most bedding areas don't have one bed.
Right. Those find places.
That's a common myth people think that you occasionally find a really good spot that's one bed, but that's rare. Most of the time, you have like a quarter acre spot or an eighth of an acre spot that has like 20, 30, 40 beds. Sometimes you find a really good one that's like a half acre that's got 50, 75 beds, and they'll hop around based on the wind and the cover and how the cover changes through the season. And in the midst of that, you'll find deadheads and such, you know?
Yeah. I imagine, like, thinking about it, like if there's an area where there's just one bed, that may be a little bit unsettling to a buck too, like not to have very many options.
Right. They move constantly.
Yeah. All right. Steve has a question for us. He says, how important is eyesight for a buck when he is bedded? Would a farm country buck bedding on a fence line prefer the edge where he can see, or could you bedded in a sea of 4 foot grass where the grass where they could, I don't know, the end of there kind of wavered off?
That's a really good question, and the answer is both. They like to have a couple of factors. Now, you got eyesight, you got smell, and you got hearing, right? So they'll bed in a spot where they can smell from behind and see in front, like a tree line or something. They'll be looking out of it, or a wood's edge to be looking out. Or they'll bed into thick cover where they can hear and smell you. So they'll do both. If it's heavy cover, a lot of times they'll be on the downwind side smelling and seeing. If they're into the cover, well, then they're just hearing you coming. So they'll do both. And I've seen individual deers you're hunting bed in both types of spots. So it ain't the trait of one deer. I wouldn't doubt it if some deer, rely on sight a little more than others, and some rely on that sound-based bedding a little more than others. But I do believe that a lot of deer do both.
Josh Banks asks, do you change anything in your hunting style and technique when in super low density big woods areas?
No, I'm just hunting an individual deer all the time, so it makes no difference to me.
Yeah.
So I'm hunting an animal. I mean, I might have to search a little more to find one in a low density area. But what I do is I find a deer to hunt. I hunt that deer, and it's one deer. It doesn't matter if it's one deer in the big woods. As a matter of fact, I'd prefer it's the only deer around. You start getting into heavy density, it gets confusing. You get deer to get downwind of you, they blow. You walk into a spot to hunt, you kick deer up. I would prefer low density if I have a buck to hunt. If I don't have a buck to hunt, of course, bigger density, you can find one quicker.
Right.
But either way, I'm hunting the same methods, pretty much replicates itself.
Yeah.
How about you?
I've always thought that it's a little bit easier sometimes to get on a good one in lower density areas, as far if you have time to, it's just sometimes, like I noticed up there in Wisconsin when I hunt up there, because it's a lot greater density than what I have down in Indiana. It's like you got to filter through so much crap sometimes, or it's like there's a lot of little bucks running around, and you kind of get
days or a few days by you without even seeing a deer.
Yeah. So I don't change anything. In fact, I kind of would prefer it to have, you don't want to have no deer at all. You don't want to be that bad, but I would prefer it to be fewer deer and better quality than a whole bunch of deer running around everywhere, a bunch of 1.5-year-old bucks.
Right.
Steve asked, this happened to me today, actually. He says, if a stand on public land is a gun-only stand, do you think the deer get used to that pressure, or stay away from it during the bow season?
Since you just had some experience with that, why don't you answer that?
You see here in Indiana, you can put up stands and leave them during season. You're not supposed to have them out right now, but if you got just a ladder stand in the middle of a big open river bottom, which is what happened today, I just walk right by it, don't even pay attention to it. The deer I'm after probably isn't going to be walking by that area in daylight hours. Now, if there's a if that ladder stand was up against the swamp I was looking at, coming out of a nice trail that was right up against the swamp or something, then I'd be like, okay, this guy may be onto something here, and um, maybe a bow hunter or something, But I don't get too worked up about it. What about you, Dan?
So I think most gun stands that I've seen are in open areas, and I don't hunt open areas. But let's say there is somebody that hunts my style and he puts it in someplace thick or whatever, you'd probably mistake it for a bow stand. But because when I gun hunt, I hunt like I'm bow hunting. But if a guy hunts there for 3 or 4 days during gun season, he does some damage. There might still be good hunting in, say, a month earlier or a month later. But to me, any place that somebody else is looking at usually don't generate mature bucks like 5, 6, 7 years old. I usually got to find a place where nobody's hunting to kill bucks like that. When I hunt where other people hunt and it's a good spot, I'll kill a 2-year-old, maybe an occasional 3-year-old. But if I want to hunt those mature bucks and I want to kill those mature bucks, I got to think outside the box and find them where nobody else hunts. And I really think that even if that guy's going in there for a weekend, a year, he's doing some damage.
Yep. Yeah, it just depends. Depends on where the stand is. In my mind, if like we always talk about, or you always talk about, Dan, like getting a map on your piece of public and just Xing out everywhere people would be, and like if those stands are in that area, it's like whatever, it is what it is. I used to always take
you run into like when I hunted in Michigan, you found stands out there, and you're like, if I didn't hunt where there's a stand, I couldn't hunt.
Yeah,
but those guys put those stands there and they never take them down. They might not have been hunted for 7 years. Well, then deer doesn't even know it's there.
Yeah.
But when I was doing plots, I put up a stand the day that we cut the weeds, and then I came back to rake them out, and the deer had bedded right underneath, and they had to force their way through brush, made a trail, beat down, and put a bed on each side of the tree that I put the stand in. And when I came back, they went back in there and they'd bedded there again. So they're like watching the access for the stand. They learned where the stand was. They're smart.
Oh yeah. Thanks for the or welcome to membership, Brian. Matt asks, have you noticed that deer seem more calm around turkeys in fields?
What do you think?
I don't know.
I don't think they bother them.
No. I don't know if it makes them more calm or not. I don't know if they're...
Yeah, I just don't think they bother with them. I don't think they mind them. I don't know if it makes them calm or not, but I just don't think it bothers them.
Right.
I don't think it bothers them. It helps them or nothing. I don't think it makes them calmer. Like they're like, okay, there's a turkey here. Everything's cool. If that's what you're thinking, no.
Yeah.
I don't think they could reason that way.
Right. Lee asked if we were having a boy or girl. We're having a little boy. We did find out about a month ago.
You can always change your mind nowadays.
Yeah, we're not going to though. Kayla Holmes asked, would you guys consider hunting West Virginia in one of the bow only counties?
I'd love to go to West Virginia.
Yeah, me too. There's a lot of big deer out there too. Yeah, I would love that. I like the idea of a bow only too. That sounds appealing. I wonder what their criteria is for it to be bow only. I wonder if it's a certain like population or anything about that?
I don't know. It's kind of odd they got a whole county like that, or counties. Seems weird, but
yeah.
Feel like you live in a county where you can only bow hunt. You got to drive out of your county to gun hunt.
Yeah, you think I could see him doing them? I could see him doing it
in an area, a zone or something. But I would, I'd love to hunt West Virginia one time. And I think if they had a bow only county, that'd probably be a good place to
go. I agree. What's your thoughts on hunting Sitka and whitetails in Maryland?
I'd like to kill one of those Sitkas. They're just like a mini elk that live in marshes like deer.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're like.
Cool.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that area has gotten overran with people hunting, but
yeah, I don't know. Everybody wants to hunt Sitkas, and there's only like one spot to go, right?
Yeah. Josh asked if we You guys ever find buck bedding in small cattail swamps under 20 acres?
Well, all the time we call those
Oh,
cattail
yeah.
bowls. You
Yep.
find a little bowl of cattails out in the middle of a woods, and everybody walks by it for some reason. That's the whole deer. I mean, it's the only place that's when it's small like that. It'll be like the only place that holds cover. Now you take that small little bowl of cattails and you put it adjacent to a 1,000-acre cattail marsh. Well, then maybe not so much. But if you go out in a woodlot or a farmland or something, you find a small patch of cattails where there's no other cattails around, and that could be a magnet.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. I think we got to about all the questions. Let me go back to the bottom here. Make sure there's no. I kind of went through them in a funky way tonight because you guys left so many comments whenever I was giving that thing away. Jonah asks, how long does it take for deer to come to a field that has just been plowed?
They'll check that
big,
out right away.
Yeah.
I don't think they like walking in it, though.
I was going to say, I'm not a big fan of plowed fields. It's
yeah, they're not an attraction.
Nothing,
but I think that the dirt-wise, what we were talking about before, all the like broken dirt.
Yeah.
But there's nothing there for them.
Right. My farm, one of the little farms I have here, the farmer always plows after he's picked fields.
Your fields, if they plowed that, you got nothing. You got
I know. That's what I meant.
2 miles of plowed nothing.
Yeah, I know. So it's pretty hard on them. I mean, there's no reason for them to be there. Corey, thanks for joining the membership, man. I appreciate it. I think we got to most of the questions tonight. So everybody, have a good night. Don't forget tomorrow I'll put the clip up about giving away Dan's bow. Just leave a comment on there and subscribe to the channels, and we'll give that away here in a couple weeks. So have a good night, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.